I mean, I don't know if we should believe in genre, but you know, like anything that deals with reality, I like. So whether it's neorealism or sub-realism or super realism, I'm fascinated. Strangely enough, I cannot read science fiction, and I cannot watch science fiction movies. I'm not criticizing it. It's completely irrational. I just can't. They bore me. I can't even start. I changed the channel. I can't. I just cannot relate to something that I cannot imagine could be real. So I can't watch movies that involve extraterrestrial, or you know, even the Spielberg one with François Truffaut, which it's a great movie, but the fact that it involves the extraterrestrial, just, and I know I'm saying something very stupid, you know, it's like saying Kafka Metamorphosis you don't like because you hate cockroaches or whatever, but it's really like that. I think I'm really obsessed by reality.
So how do you react to the surrealism of Dalí?
Well, I think he was a very realistic artist and certainly a very realistic man. And I like, to a certain extent, the relationship that surrealists had with power and money, which was more honest, I think, that for the most obvious, you know, reasons, historical, the political influences, etc., etc. I think there is something very modern about the fact that Dalí, as a surrealist, was the first artist star, and he walked through that with a great sense of, he just did it all as if it was the most natural thing for an artist to be that way. When I was a student in London, I certainly experienced their public persona at the very early stage of the young British artist. I remember I was at school and I kept thinking I would read these tabloids, you know, because I was an Italian kid, so an Italian kid loves to read tabloid because, you know, maybe the Times is a bit boring, the Guardian is too intellectual, the Evening Standard, if you're 20 years old, is a perfect mirror of what happens in London, so you just read it. And I saw all these artists on these tabloids and I kept thinking, well, if you end up being covered so much by such bad media, your statement has to be very strong and very universal. Otherwise, you either may risk to be enormously misunderstood, or you may risk to be enormously invisible if the Evening Standard is the final mirror for your existence. Of course, we know that I'm pushing the paradox, but I think I was very influenced because I was in London exactly at that time. So I was, as a student, as a younger person, experiencing that was changing, which was all very Dalí, I would say. So I feel that the public persona that Dalí constructed for himself was incredibly modern, and I think his public behavior patterns are now being replicated by many artists that don't necessarily share with Dalí the same artistic inclination, but he created a pattern that was very strong. However many artists or critics may try to deny it, art is about power in so many ways. Not only because the great history of art, the tradition of great history of art is about portraying the rich and the powerful, but it is about some kind of power. So if you discuss the true notion of power in your work, you may not be doing a great work of art, but certainly you are addressing the right topic. And so for me to portray Caroline of Monaco as a fictional queen and as a real queen, her that is the daughter of a real king and a Hollywood actress, was a way to bring out this beautiful contradiction that she brings in herself. And that is as well a way to bring out the beautiful contradiction that all artists carry with themselves between the intellectual ambition and the vain ambitions, maybe, which is something that seems to apply very well to surrealism, I would say. Many people misunderstand me and think that my work is about history of cinema. I think there are much better artists than me that have addressed that topic. I could be a great art director for a movie, which I know many artists would find that very humiliating. I would have no problem with doing that if it was an exciting project. But I don't want to be a movie director. I think it's way more interesting to launch a provocation and say artists today are more producers than movie directors. That's why I like to challenge the idea of the role of the artist and say that I'd like to produce a movie in Hollywood, or be an actor in a movie in Hollywood. That would be a real challenge. That would be a real way to putting yourself out to be criticized, to be discussed, because in one case, if you would be the producer of an Hollywood movie, people would debate the role of the artist as a holder of power or financial resources. Or if you were an actor, you would be discussing the other side of the coin, which is the fact that artists nowadays of whichever type, even the most political, the most politically correct, the most raging Marxist, they all end up with their portrait in Dazed and Confused. So I think it would be, that would be an artwork, to be an actor in an Hollywood movie. That would be an artwork. But to be a director, they're all doing that. What's new about that? Schnabel did it, Longo did it, Shirin. They're all doing a movie now. So we try to do original things.